We start the show with some breaking news. A staff member of Germany's far-right Alternative for Germany party has been arrested on suspicion of espionage. Prosecutors say he was spying on behalf of China. Now, the worker is said to have been an assistant to this man, Maximilian Krah. He's the AfD's top candidate for the European Parliament elections. Now, the arrest came just hours after 3 German nationals were detained on similar charges. Federal prosecutors said that 2 men and 1 woman had set up front companies to obtain research and technology that could be used to develop China's navy. Information about their activities was collected by the German Domestic Intelligence Service. DW's security correspondent Thomas Sparrow is here in Berlin and joins us now for the very latest. Thomas, what more can you tell us about this spy case?
Well, it's a spy case that is turning into a very big political situation, a very big political discussion here in the country, with Germany's Interior Minister Nancy Faeser already stressing that if confirmed, this would be an attack on European democracy from within. The person who was detained on suspicion of passing important information from the European Parliament to a Chinese intelligence agency. It is still not confirmed. The investigations need to be carried on. The AfD, in fact, did confirm that the person worked for Maximilian Krah, but then stressed that they had to wait also until all the investigations are concluded to see if that is actually something that is fact-based or only just a suspicion. And China also reacted to these latest allegations, basically saying that it's just a claim to discredit China. What all this means is that it's turning into a very sensitive political and security case as well. And by the way, it's important because it comes only hours after 3 people were also detained here in Germany for apparently spying again for China, this time by gathering information that could then be used by China for military purposes. And on this specific case, so not today's case, but yesterday's case, I spoke exclusively to the head of Germany's Domestic Intelligence Agency, and this is what he had to say.
This case is of particular significance. We are dealing with a case of proliferation which also involves weapons know-how. This case shows that China is also active in Germany and that there are cases of proliferation here. The Federal Office was involved in the investigation at a very early stage. Once the investigation was clear, we were able to hand this case over to the police and the public prosecutor. Further information pertaining to the case will be released by the Federal Public Prosecutor.
Now, Thomas, it's not just China allegedly spying on Germany, is it? Because last week 2 Germans were arrested accused of spying for Russia. So what is going on here?
German officials do see differences between people or agencies who might spy for China compared to those who might spy for Russia. In the specific case of China, they believe that it's a more long-term process where they are trying to gather information that could then be used by China, for example, for military purposes. On the case of people who are alleged of spying for Russia, German authorities believe that they could actually be involved also in sabotage, in basically trying to disrupt, for example, Germany's support towards Ukraine when it comes to military support towards Ukraine or political support towards Ukraine. So authorities clearly see differences between both cases. However, what both cases do reveal is that this year in particular is turning to be a very significant year for German security services when they try to identify these specific cases of spying. And it's an important year, not only because in a few weeks' time Europe will have its European Parliament elections, but also because here in Germany is preparing itself for a big sporting event, namely the European football tournament, the Euro 2024. And as such, security officials are particularly concerned that this big event, or those big events, if we also look at the European Parliament elections, could be the target of certain kinds of spying or even sabotage when it comes to Russia. So all in all, this particular year, and in particular the last few days, have been very, very intense for Germany's security services and in particular for Germany's Domestic Intelligence Agency.
Thomas, thanks so much for bringing us up to date there. That's DW's security correspondent here in Berlin, Thomas Sparrow.